Welcome back to Faith in the House. If this is your first time sitting down with me, pull up a chair. You're welcome at this table. This is the place where we take our ordinary homes, the kitchen, the hallway, the room where you can't sleep at night, and we make them holy ground. One small, simple thing at a time. So go ahead, grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's sit together for a little while. Today I want to talk about something most of us never think about. And I mean never. The holy images in our homes. The crucifix on the wall. The picture of the Sacred Heart. Your mother left you. The little statue of Mary on the shelf that you dust without really looking at anymore. And I want to tell you something that took me an embarrassingly long time to understand. Where you put those images matters. Not in a superstitious way. Not like moving the furniture changes your luck. I'll get to that, because I know some of you are already squinting at the screen. But it matters in a way that is deeper and more practical than almost anyone tells you. I'll be honest with you about what I actually do in my own home, because that's the only way I know how to talk about this. For years, and I'm not proud of this, I hung holy pictures the way you'd hang anything. Wherever there was a nail, wherever there was a gap on the wall, the crucifix went above the light switch, because that's where the previous owner had left a hole. The picture of Christ went in the hallway, because the hallway was empty. I never once asked the question that I want to ask you today, which is, where does my family actually look? Where do our eyes go? 100 times a day, without us deciding to, because that is where a holy image belongs. Let me say that more carefully, because I don't want you to hear the wrong thing. I am not telling you there is a magic spot. I am telling you that an image you never see does nothing for your soul. And an image you can't help but see does quiet, patient work on you for years. That's the whole idea. So stay with me, because by the end of this, I'm going to walk you through the 4 places in your home where a holy image earns its keep, and the 2 places where, honestly, it's just wallpaper. Now, before we go room to room, I want to give you the one idea that holds all of this together. The church has a beautiful phrase for your house. It calls it the domestic church. That's not me being poetic, that's in the documents. The Second Vatican Council, in Lumen Gentium, called the family home the domestic church. The Catechism says it too. Right around paragraph 1655. Your home is meant to be the first church your children and grandchildren ever know. Before the parish. Before the school. The first place they meet God is the place where they eat breakfast and argue about the remote control. And here's what struck me when I really sat with that. A church is arranged on purpose. Nothing in a church is hung wherever there happen to be a nail. The crucifix is where your eye goes. The light draws you forward. Everything points you somewhere. And your home, your domestic church, deserves at least a little of that same care. Not perfection, just intention. Now, before we walk room to room, let me say a quick word about which image goes where. Because it's not only about the spot, it's about the match. I have my own opinion on this, and you can take it or leave it. In the room where the family gathers, I like a warm image, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, or a gentle picture of Christ, something with a face that looks back at you with love. Because that's the room where you're tired, where you're worn down by the day, and you need to be looked at kindly. In the bedrooms, I lean toward the Blessed Mother, or a guardian angel, something tender for the place where you close your eyes. And the crucifix is the anchor of the whole house. If you own one good crucifix, it goes on the most seen wall of the most lived-in room. Everything else gathers around it. And about that prayer corner I'm going to tell you about. It has a long and beautiful history, and I love this. In the Christian East, for centuries, every home had what they called the beautiful corner, the red corner, in the old language, where red meant beautiful. It faced east toward the rising sun, toward the resurrection. The holy images gathered there, and a small lamp or candle burned in front of them. When a guest came into the home, the first thing they did was not greet the host. They turned to the beautiful corner, and they bowed to the images, and only then did they greet the family. Think about that for a second. The first thing you honored when you walked into a home was God. We have largely lost that in the West, but you can quietly bring it back in your own house this week. So let me give you the first place. And I'd call this the most important one. If you only do one thing from this whole video, the place your family gathers. For most of us, that's not the dining room anymore, if we're honest. It's wherever the television is. It's the den, the front room, the recliner where you read, Wherever the bodies land at the end of the day, that is the heart of your domestic church, whether you planned it that way or not. And that is exactly where a strong holy image belongs. Not tucked in a corner, not behind the door, at the natural focal point of the room, a little above eye level, where it can be seen from the chair you actually sit in. I want to tell you about a woman I sat with last winter. I'll call her Eleanor. Eleanor lost her husband 3 years ago, and she lives alone now, in the house where they raised 4 children. And she told me something I haven't been able to forget. She said, the loneliest part of the day is the evening, when the light goes and the house gets quiet. And I asked her, almost without thinking, what do you see when you're sitting there in the evening? And she went quiet. And then she said, the television and the dark window. That's it. Now here's what we did. We didn't buy anything. She already had a beautiful old image of the Sacred Heart that had been in the family for 50 years, sitting in a spare room where nobody went. We moved it. That's all. We hung it across from her chair, where her eyes naturally rested in the evening. And she called me about a month later, and she said, Robin, I'm not as alone in that room as I was. Now I want to be careful here, because I can hear the objection forming. I'll come back to it. But that's the work an image does when it's in the right place. It's not magic. It's company. It's a face that loves you, where your tired eyes already go. Let me give you the second place. The thresholds of your home. The doorways. The places of coming in and going out. There is a very old instinct in our faith to mark the doorway. It goes all the way back to the Israelites marking their doorposts. And in Catholic homes for centuries, the front door has been a place of blessing. A small crucifix, a holy water font by the entry, an image of Christ or his mother, near where you come and go. And I'll tell you why I love this one. Because a threshold is a moment of transition. You're leaving the safety of your home to go out into a hard world, or you're coming back in, carrying everything that happened to you out there, and to pass, just for a second, under the gaze of Christ, to dip your fingers in holy water and bless yourself as you leave. It does something. It tells your own heart, I am not walking out into this day alone. Put an image at the door you actually use, not the formal front door nobody opens, the side door, the garage door, the door you really come and go through. That's the real threshold of your home. And if you want to take that one step further, put a small holy water font right there by that door. They cost a few dollars. You bless yourself with it as you leave, and again as you come home. And I'll tell you what that little habit does, because I do it myself. In the morning, rushing out, worried about the day, your fingers touch the water, and you make the sign of the cross. And just for 1/2 of 1 second, you remember, you're not walking out alone. And in the evening, coming home carrying whatever the world handed you, you touch the water again, and you leave a little of it there at the door. You don't drag the whole day into the house. That's worth a few dollars and a nail in the wall, wouldn't you say? Let me back up for 1 second, because I'm getting ahead of myself, and I want to make sure I'm being practical and not just pretty. Height matters here, and almost nobody tells you this. A holy image works best at standing eye level or a touch above. We tend to hang things too high, way too high, up near the ceiling, where you'd have to crane your neck. An image up there becomes decoration. It disappears. You stop seeing it within a week. So when you're deciding, stand where you'll actually be. Sit in the chair, stand at the door, and hang the image where your eyes land when you're not trying. A little above the horizontal. That's the secret almost no one says out loud. The third place, and this one is close to my heart, a prayer corner. Now don't let the phrase scare you. I'm not talking about turning your living room into a chapel. The Eastern Christians have a beautiful old custom. They call it the beautiful corner. One corner of the home, set aside, where the holy images gather. An icon or two, a crucifix, a candle you can light, maybe your Bible, maybe a photo of the people you're praying for. It can be the top of a dresser, a small shelf, the corner of a bookcase. It does not need to be large. It needs to be intentional. Because here is what a prayer corner gives you, that a scattered image cannot. It gives prayer a place to live. When you have one spot in the house that is for God, your body learns it, you walk past it and you slow down. You sit there in the morning with your coffee, and prayer becomes a thing you go to a place to do, instead of a thing you mean to do and never quite get to. I'll be honest with you about what I actually do. I have a corner like this in my own home. a little shelf with a crucifix, a candle, and a picture of the Blessed Mother. And on the hard mornings, and there are hard mornings, I don't have to feel like praying. I just have to walk to the corner. The corner does half the work. That's the gift of a place. And let me give you one small thing that turns a prayer corner from a shelf into a living place. A light, a candle. If you're comfortable with an open flame, and you're careful, or one of those little battery candles if you're not. And there's no shame in that. The old homes always kept a small light burning before the images. There's something about a flame. It says someone is here, someone prays here. Even when the room is empty, the little light keeps watch. I'll be honest. On the nights I can't sleep, I'll come down and just light the candle in my corner and sit there. I don't always have words. Sometimes I just sit with the light and the crucifix, and I let that be the prayer. And it is a prayer. Sitting in the quiet, in front of something holy, with a small flame going, that counts. Don't let anyone tell you prayer has to have words. The fourth place. The bedrooms. Especially the bedrooms of the ones you love most. There is a long, tender tradition of a crucifix over the bed, or a holy image where a child or a grandchild can see it as they fall asleep and as they wake. And I want to say something gentle here, because I know not everyone watching has little ones in the house. But if you have grandchildren who visit, if there's a room they sleep in, when they stay over, put something holy where they'll see it. A picture of their guardian angel, a simple image of Christ. Children remember these things their whole lives. The image over the bed at Grandma's house becomes, 40 years later, one of the first faces of God they ever knew. You are planting something. You may not see it grow. Plant it anyway. I want to tell you about a man I sat with. An old friend I'll call Walt. Walt was not a sentimental man, worked with his hands his whole life, didn't have much use for what he called fuss, and when his first grandchild started staying over on weekends, his wife wanted to hang a little picture of a guardian angel over the bed in the spare room, and Walt thought it was, in his words, a bit much. But he let her. Years went by. That grandchild grew up, drifted from the faith the way young people do, worried his grandparents half to death, and then one Christmas the young man, grown now, in his 20s, was back in that spare room, and he came down in the morning, and he said, "Grandpa, that angel's still up there." And Walt said, "Course it is." And the young man got quiet, and he said, "You know, that picture is the first thing I ever remember thinking about God. I used to lie there and look at it and feel safe." Walt told me he had to leave the room so nobody would see his face. Now here's why I tell you that. Walt almost didn't let her hang it, thought it was a bit much, and it turned out to be the seed of the only faith that grandson had to come back to. You are planting things you will not see grow. A picture over a child's bed is one of the most powerful things you will ever do. It costs you almost nothing, and you will probably never know what it did. Do it anyway. Now I promised you the 2 places where a holy image is honestly just wallpaper. And I want to keep that promise, because I respect you too much to only tell you the easy half. The first is anywhere too high to see. I said it already, but it bears repeating, because it's the most common mistake by a mile. An image near the ceiling is invisible within a week. The second is a place of clutter. If you hang a beautiful crucifix on a wall already crowded with 12 other framed things, family photos, a calendar, a clock, a certificate, it drowns. The eye can't find it. Give a holy image a little space around it, a little silence on the wall. Let it breathe. An image with room around it pulls the eye. An image lost in a gallery wall is just one more rectangle. And now I have to be straight with you, the way I'd want a friend to be straight with me, because I can hear the objection, and it's a good one. Some of you are thinking, "Robin, isn't this just superstition? Moving pictures around like you're arranging good luck charms?" And I want to address that directly, because it matters more than anything else I've said today. No. And here is the difference, and please hear me. A superstition says the object has power in itself, that if you put the salt here, or hang the medal there, something is forced to happen, like a spell. That is not our faith. That has never been our faith. A holy image has no power of its own. None. It is a window, not a wand. It doesn't do anything to the room. What it does is it does something to you. It catches your eye, and it turns your heart, gently, 100 times a day, toward the one it points to. The grace doesn't come from the picture. The grace comes from God, through your own heart being turned toward Him. The picture just keeps turning you. So no, this is not superstition. It's the opposite. Superstition trusts the object. This trusts God and uses the object to remember him. And let me be honest about one more thing. The cold, honest thing. Hanging a holy image in the perfect spot will not fix your life. I'm not going to stand here and pretend it will. It won't pay your bills. It won't bring back the person you lost. It won't make the loneliness disappear in a night. Ask Eleanor, who still misses her husband every single day. What it does is smaller and truer than that. It makes the room you live in a little less empty of God. It gives your eyes somewhere holy to land. And over years, not days, years, that quiet turning of the heart adds up to something. I won't promise you more than that, but I won't promise you less either. And let me back up and say one more honest thing, because I don't want to skip past it. I've been asking myself why so many of our homes ended up with God nowhere on the walls. And I don't think it was rebellion. For most of us, I think it was just life. The walls filled up with photographs, which are good, with the calendar and the clock and the kids' awards, and with the television, which got bigger every year until it quietly became the real altar of the room, the thing every chair points toward. Nobody decided to push God off the walls. We just got busy, and the holy images ended up in the spare room, or in a box, or hung too high to see. And here's the stakes of that said plainly. I've spent time in homes where there is not one sign anywhere that the people who live there know God. And I've spent time in homes where you can't turn your head without your eye landing on something holy. And I'm telling you, over the years, it makes a difference in the souls of the people who live there. Not overnight, but the home forms you. The home you live in is teaching you something every single day, whether you chose the lesson or not. So you may as well choose it. And let me be honest about what to expect, because I don't want you turning this into a magic trick. The first week after you move an image, you'll notice it, it'll feel a little strange, and a little nice. By the second week, you'll stop noticing it on purpose, and that's actually when it starts working. Because now it's not a project, it's just part of the room, part of the air you breathe. Give it a year of your tired evening eyes landing, without trying, on the face of Christ. A year of blessing yourself at the door on the way out. A year of one corner of the house that's quietly for God. You won't be able to point to the day it changed you, but you will be a different person at the end of that year than you were at the start. That's not magic. That's just what happens when you let your home keep turning your heart toward God. 100 quiet times a day. So here is what I'd love for you to do this week. Just one thing. Walk through your home. Slowly. Like a stranger seeing it for the first time. And in each main room, ask yourself one question. Where do my eyes actually go in here? Where does the family gather? Where does the light fall? And then take the holy images you already own. You don't need to buy a thing, and move just one of them to where your eyes already rest. Maybe it's the picture you've walked past for years. Maybe it's the crucifix that's hanging too high. Move one, that's all. And then sit in the chair, or stand at the door, and just notice what it's like to have something holy where you can finally see it. I think it'll surprise you. And if you want a second small thing, here it is. Pick one corner, just one. The top of a dresser, the end of a bookshelf, a little table nobody uses, and start a prayer corner there. You don't need to buy anything fancy. A crucifix you already own. One holy picture, a candle. That's a prayer corner. It took me about 10 minutes to make mine, years ago, and I have prayed there nearly every day since. You're not building a shrine. You're just giving God 1 square foot of your home that belongs to Him on purpose. 1 square foot. That's the whole project. And I promise you, once it's there, you'll find yourself drawn to it. The hard mornings, the worried nights, the days you don't know what to pray. You'll go to the corner, and the corner will hold you while you figure it out. And one last thing, and then I'll let you go. Don't wait until the house is perfect. Don't wait until you've decluttered the whole wall, or found the right frame, or feel holy enough to deserve it. None of us feel holy enough. That's not the point. The point is to begin today with what you already own, exactly as your home is right now. God is not waiting for your house to be tidy. He is waiting to be invited in. So invite Him, hang the picture, light the candle, open the door. Let me pray with you over your home. Before we go, Lord, you who made your home among us, come and make your home in this house. Bless the walls and the doorways and the quiet corners. Bless the chair where they rest in the evening, and the bed where they lay down their worries. Let every holy image in this home be a window to you, and let every eye that falls on it be turned gently toward your love. And for the one watching right now, who is lonely in the evening, let them know they are not as alone as the dark window makes them feel. You are here. You have always been here. Keep your home holy. Keep your people close. And I'll see you right back here. Bring a friend. And tell me down in the comments, which corner of your home are you going to start with? I read these, every one of them. I'll be looking for yours.